January 2020, the annual awards gala. What did that evening mean to you?
Yeah, that evening was really special because that was celebrating my first $1 million Memory Maker Awards ceremony. So I just remember getting all dressed up, walking into a beautiful venue overlooking uptown Charlotte, lots of good food, the whole company, top performers there to celebrate together, and then just having this huge celebration, handing out jackpot bonuses and awards, and it was just such a special night to be a part of.
That's awesome.
Join Charlie Maloof as he explores the personal journeys of Broad River Retail's very own memory makers. Welcome to Stories from the River.
Welcome to the podcast, Lindsey. Hey guys, we are here with Lindsey Walton, Home Furnishings Expert, perennial $1 million memory maker, and we're ready to go. You ready, Lindsey?
I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Charlie. All right. Ready to go.
Glad to have you on the hot seat. Hey, before we get going, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background prior to joining the river?
Yeah, so prior to joining the river, I grew up in Clemson, Seneca area of South Carolina. Moved to Raleigh after I graduated from Clemson. Just prior to coming to the river, I worked for Ann Inc., Ann Taylor Loft, managing a store in Morrisville, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So had a lot of growth and development there, was there for 6 years, but began to feel some burnout with some of the things happening there. So just decided it was time for a change.
Did you know Leah Hayes when you were at Ann Inc.?
I did. We were good friends. So she's the reason I'm here. She recruited me when she joined. I came on a month after her. So
that was a great referral bonus.
It was.
Yeah, that was
I know.
Great. That's awesome.
Worked out well for both of us.
We've had her on the podcast, and you guys are both thriving. So Excited to tell your story. Okay, so now you joined us. When did you join us?
In May of 2018.
Okay, so it's been a little bit over 4 years now.
About
May
4
of
years.
2018. And so take us through your career progression so far with Broad River.
Yeah, so I joined the company as an HFA in Raleighwood, now known as the Raleigh Reign. So HFA, and then 6 months was promoted to HFC, Home Furnishings Consultant. And then knew early on from the very beginning, expert was my goal. So I skipped over the HFP and went right to HFE about 1.5 years after I joined the company. And then have been $1 million writer, with the exception of 2018, since I joined in May. Every other year, I've been $1 million memory maker.
Wow, you have the accelerated growth track. Well,
yeah.
Let's talk about that today. Hey, before though, let's go back. Do you remember, I tend to believe that most people remember their first day. Hopefully it was memorable in a positive way. Do you remember your first day with Broad River Retail?
Yes, I do. I was really nervous. So came in, everybody was really nice and welcoming. It's kind of like I'd never worked in the furniture industry, or it was almost like coming into a new country and learning a different language. I remember, I think, saying couch the first day, and Rick Rush quickly corrected me that we don't say couch, it's sofas. That's what we call our sofas. And then for the rest of the day, I think I studiously took notes in a corner on all the videos I was watching, and I still have that notebook somewhere of all the discontinued collections and all my notes from day one.
I grew up in the South, and we also called it couch. I mean, have you called it couch since then?
It has never been a couch since then. Even my sofa is a sofa. It's not a couch anymore.
That's so interesting. So we have this initiative now on the retail team called Speed to Promotion, STP, and Stacy's rolling that out across the retail organization. You just mentioned it earlier when you took us through your career journey. You've had one of the fastest promotions on record at the retail level with us. You got promoted from an HFA to an HFC within 6 months. And did sales come naturally to you right away?
I would say no. One of my hesitations with taking this job was, I just didn't know if I had the personality or the skill set to be in sales. I grew up pretty shy and a lot of social anxiety. So I've had to work pretty hard to overcome and kind of manage that part of my personality. I was kind of surprised that I was successful just from the beginning.
So in spite of that, well, what do you think led to your fast start and your initial success within your first few months?
Yeah, I remember from my interview, Rick Rush, the GM in Raleigh, just talking about the process and following the process, and how if you're a student of the process and you follow that, you can't not be successful. And just also, iron sharpens iron. So find the people that are successful, ask questions, and learn from them, do what they do.
You came from another retailer. How much do you think that translates or transfers or like helps you understand like what to expect being in another retail business?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helped, just with expectations and even just the connection part of it, that I think translated for me very well into the sales role, even though it wasn't a commissioned sales position at my previous job. You really had to connect. You had to connect with people, and you were, they were there for a reason, and you were meeting a need, and that's the same thing that I do here at Broad River.
Was there a moment when you early in your first few months, where you felt like it really just clicked for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I started, I think within maybe like that next week, I went to our Retail 101 class that we do for all new HFAs that join the company. So at that time, it was a 2-day class in Fort Mill.
In person.
In person. And so I went to that. And at the end of that class, there's a 4-week contest for you win a trip for the highest written sales, and then there's some other winnings for the most amount of VIPs and that kind of thing. So I duked it out with Leah all month and beat her in the new hire contest. I won that. So I think that was the moment where I was like, wow, I can really be successful and do really well at this job. That gave me a lot of confidence.
You duked it out with her. Was she a new hire or
She was still a new hire. So she had joined the month prior to me. Okay. So we ended up being in the same class.
She had a head start on you.
Even though she was a month ahead of me.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I went just a week after I joined, or after my first day. So,
got it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you still won it, even being that new. That's incredible. And then you skipped a level. I mean, you talked to, we had initially, when the experts program got rolled out, you had to have 3 years of tenure. And then the success of some of our new hires compelled us to create a little bit accelerated performance. What if someone had written $1 million in the previous year? They've kind of operated at expert level. Can we figure out how to give them a method to bypass the professional designation?
Yeah.
And so you took advantage of the accelerated expert path to reach that elite level promotion in just over 2.5 years. So you earned the expert promotion at the beginning of 2020, right when we were celebrating that gala that we opened up with. Really, really, really impressive accomplishment. Yeah. And just so everyone listening, the expert designation is the most exclusive club for retail performances. Only 1/3 of our $1 million memory makers are experts. So it's more exclusive than being a $1 million writer.
Yeah.
So how did you achieve that feat so quickly?
Yeah. I started and then went to Retail 101 and just kind of learned about everything that I could do and the path that I could take within the company. That was my goal from the very beginning. So I knew that because of the expert track, if I could write $1 million from
January 1 of 19.
Well, because it's semester based, I actually was able to start qualifying in July.
Okay.
So I knew that if I could write $1 million from July 2018 to June 2019, then that next semester I could qualify and earn that in 2020.
Got it.
So I had a roadmap from the very beginning of, $75,000 in a 4-week month, $100,000 in a 5-week month, and that would do it, and stuck to it and earned it.
That's so cool. I love how you broke it down, the math of it early on. So many people, I think, come in and they're just trying to kind of catch all the spinning plates and everything. And they don't really focus on what is the math behind how I get paid and how I can get promoted. And so you did that.
Yeah.
And so really good testament. I mean, it was quite impressive. I remember when that happened for you, we were so excited.
Yeah.
So Have you been able to retain the expert designation? Because it's not guaranteed. Once you become it, you can also lose it. And we've had people lose it.
Yeah.
Maybe have a down semester or can't hit on all cylinders.
Sure.
Have you been able to maintain the expert designation even through the pandemic?
Yeah. Since the time I earned it in 2020, I've maintained it every semester.
So you're not letting it go.
I'm not letting it go.
I got it.
No.
How important, in your opinion, is the career path? It's unique to Broad River Retail. Not everyone in home furnishings, maybe even in retail, has a career path on the sales floor like we do, right? And where it's meaningful and tangible, and your pay changes as well, and your PTO pay changes as well. How important is the career path for our retail performance sales force, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's hugely important, and one of my favorite parts of the things that we do here. For me, with my background, I was kind of burned out in that managerial role, so it gave me the opportunity to, increase my pay, to feel like I was moving forward and being promoted in a way that still felt like I could maintain a great work-life balance. And so to earn the title that reflects the work and the investment that I've put in to my craft is really important to me and means a lot.
Yeah, you talk about progress, and still in balance. So you can still progress and grow, but maintain balance. Really, really important keywords that you keyed in on there. So you joined us midway through the year in 2018, close to midway. And then starting in 2019, you've become $1 million writer, $1 million memory maker, as we like to say, every year since, correct?
Yeah.
Even during the pandemic. So what do you think has led to your consistency year over year? Like even being an expert without fail, what's led to that consistency?
Sure. I think I follow the process. We have a really defined process at Broad River that we talk about, the C4 process. And, that to me, is followed with every guest every time, to my ability. And I also stay really hungry. It's never enough. At the end of one year, 1.5 last year, now I'm looking for more. So
does that ever stress you out?
No, never. It's just, it's exciting to be, to always have that carrot dangling at the end of the year, to have a big goal that you're chasing. And it's just fun, honestly.
Okay. And you just touched on it. So just to clarify, have you improved your sales performance every year?
Yeah, every year.
It's getting tougher to do though, isn't it?
It is. I know.
You wrote, take us through 2019, 2020, and 21.
So 2019, my first year, I wrote 1.277, I believe. 2020, which was the pandemic year, I wrote 1.313.
Wow.
And then last year was 1.563.
Wow.
And then we'll see about this year.
I'm going to ask you about your goals here in a second.
Yeah.
So what do you think differentiates your level of performance from others in retail sales for us?
Yeah, I think for me, it's all about the mindset of winning every day. When I come in, it takes a mental toughness to do this job. Other people on the podcast have said, the focus, the discipline. But I think it's really getting, in the right mindset and staying dedicated to that goal that you set. It's $1 million doesn't happen overnight.
That's
you
right.
have to break it down, and look at your days, your weeks, your months. And if you're setting yourself up for the right process and you're mentally hanging in there and being strong, I think that's really what it takes. You can't get distracted by the noise either. There's, we all have stresses and things that we bring in, outside of work, but leaving that at the door. And then, there's internal noise too. There's cancellations, there's the supply chain, there's lots of things that can sidetrack us. But if you have that mindset of, I have a goal that I'm chasing down and I'm going to stay focused and give my best to every single guest, that's what I strive to do every day.
That mental discipline, I think that's the make or break. And so you talked about that. You talked about the win the day mindset. What can you control? Might not be able to control delivery or supply chain or cancellations, but you can control the win the day effort and mindset.
Yeah.
I think that those are really, really powerful. And just that annual goal propelling you forward, you're being very serious about your craft. And so I love that. Jackpot bonuses.
Yeah.
I see the big smile light
Oh,
up
yeah.
there. We love our annual jackpot bonuses for superior achievements here at the River.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I did want to say, because you mentioned this earlier, it doesn't just happen. I like to say those $1 million don't write themselves.
No.
I mean, there's a lot of effort that goes into it. And we look back on it, and we've had people written $1 million 4 years in a row, 3 years in a row, 8 years in a row, 10 years in a row. And like, we can look back even on like a company success and say, that's just a year. But man, there's blood, sweat, and tears and grit that's in that year every single day.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's fun to have some excitement and celebration, like a jackpot bonus at the end of it, for when you do an exceptional job, and it's something to work towards. How much do you believe those jackpot prizes motivate our retail gladiators to keep their eyes on the prize, to keep focused all year?
Yeah, I think it's huge, Charlie. And it's, again, one of my favorite parts of our company. They're big bonuses, and they're very generous bonuses. And so I think it's really exciting to have something that, not just that you're chasing down, you're obviously working day in and day out for that. And then you're being able to connect it to what you want to use that for. So it's been really exciting to chase down something all year and know that I'm going to take a really nice vacation when I earn this bonus. So it's been really cool to connect your work goals to your personal goals with that jackpot bonus.
Or I'm going to put a down payment on a new house, a beach house.
I think,
or, as we talked about Leah earlier, how's she enjoying her new ride she's driving around in?
Exactly. Yeah.
We were inspired. Do you know where the inspiration for those jackpot bonuses came from? Have you ever heard the story?
I read an article that you and Heather Greenwood were interviewed for a while back, and I just remember being really impressed by the philosophy of why you guys do that. And so I know the story, but it's a little fuzzy.
I think I remember the article that you're talking about. We were down at Ashley Domination. We actually had Kevin Kinman on the podcast last week, and we talked about Ashley Domination, which was a Tony Robbins event in Tampa in 2017. And he talked about, if you really want to motivate your people, you got to throw these big, massive goals at them, and then watch them go get it and chase it down. And so, you look at it on paper like, oh gosh, that's a massive goal. And don't think about it like that. So we threw them out there the first year. Do you know we've increased them every year since? Because they'll go, get 1.5.
Yeah.
Oh, now they'll go get 1.8. Oh yeah, now they'll go get 2 million. Okay, so now we have to go get a 2.2 out there.
Yeah.
And so, people, and it's not like a short term, it's a long term time. It's a year. And so to go have a really remarkable year, and then others can look at that and say, oh, I can go do that. So we were inspired in 2017, and we put it in place in 2018, and it's been fun. I love paying them out.
Yeah.
Because I know how hard someone fights. I know what that does to the company and to the greater good too.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear you say what you just said there about them. Life's best. Our organizational purpose is furnishing life's best memories. 4 simple words. What have been, or what has been one of your best memories thus far at the River?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot. Obviously, the gala of 2019 was a big one, just to be celebrated, and I love that we love celebrating people at Broad River. So we've had a lot of celebrations, even if it can't be in person.
Yeah, we've done some virtual ones.
Yeah, even the virtual celebrations. Last year, Rollywood led the company in $1 Million Riders. So that was a really cool, even though it was virtual and we couldn't be together, just was a really proud moment to be a part of leading the company that way. Orange Crush in 2019 was a big one. And even just like the daily moments with my team, they're a family. So to me, like that's part of furnishing life's best memories personally is, just working alongside your work family every day. And then with guests too, I have so many special memories of people that, now that I've built relationships with that come back, still continue to shop with me in those, we're creating those memories just time after time.
You've got a clientele who loves working with you. That's awesome. Okay, so you mentioned Orange Crush 3 in March 2019 in Rollywood, which was a really special experience.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you in the store? Tell the audience what happened in Rollywood at OC3.
Yes. So we spent months preparing
Really?
for OC3. Yes. We transformed. So OC3 is basically a tour of our company leadership, just connecting with us, just giving us, kind of talking about our company initiatives and just really investing in us as a store. So we hosted just like a 20s, like Roaring 20s
Yeah.
party is, I think, what we called it. And, we all spent months preparing, transformed our youth gallery into this big like party hall, had lots of good food. We all dressed up and just had a great time together.
It was crazy. It was like 8 a.m. and you guys were dressed in black tie affair.
Yeah.
And had this 20s like flappers party. And you
Yeah.
had, I think it was also snowing that morning too, if I recall correctly.
I think that was the year before.
Oh, the year before?
Yes,
Okay,
because I've
maybe it
heard
was.
about that.
Okay.
I've heard about that, and I wasn't there for that.
They all blend together.
I know.
for me. So, okay. It was,
But it was amazing. It was-
I do remember back in the former kids area,
Yeah.
and y'all had transformed that whole space back there. I was blown away by how much you guys were dressed up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, we went all out.
You sure did. That was fun. And so what else? You mentioned also the gala in January 2020, celebrating that awesome year in 2019. What else do you remember about that evening?
About the gala?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I remember just meeting new people. At that point, that was kind of my first. I had been to a few other events, but that was really the first where I was like, man, I earned the spot to be here with writing $1 million. So yeah, just meeting people, just again, the celebration of everyone, not just retail, but just with our visual team, just it's really cool to see people recognize. Like that's just my biggest impression of that night is how much we love to celebrate people.
You probably saw their names in the reports, and then you get to put the faces to the names.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was a really cool evening. Okay. Something less cool. So let's shift gears. And then 2020 happened. COVID, the pandemic, face masks, store closures. Did you take a furlough early on for a period of time?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really scary time. So it was tough figuring out what to do, just with wanting to balance personally, like knowing that I'm 100% commission sales, and not knowing if people were even going to be shopping in the stores. So when you offered that, I decided to take it partially too because we had several new hires that didn't really have the option of taking a furlough at that point. So, it was kind of a two-part. I personally feel like this was probably best for me, but it allowed other people to be able to stay and continue to make money. That they needed to do for themselves. So I took a 3-week furlough because Rick Rush called about 2 weeks in and said, hey, there's still people shopping. Like, we're still doing great. Do you want to come back? And I was like, absolutely. I'm there. I'm ready to come back. I did not. Furlough is not for me. I do not like sitting at home with nothing to do.
Well, you probably picked the best 3 weeks to sit out. The first 3 weeks were probably they all started once. Yeah, I think we had our Memory Maker Assistance Fund checks that went to people on furlough, and then the government sent out their government checks.
Yes.
Once those checks hit.
Yeah. Then I came back and had, to date, my biggest, or at that point, my biggest month ever in May of 2020.
Oh, wow.
So
isn't that something? I think we had Jamar on the podcast and shared a very similar story. He furloughed for the month of April, came back and had his biggest, you probably felt more refreshed and ready to go and felt like you needed to kind of make it. And then people were buying. So
yeah.
Okay, let's talk about face masks for a minute. So face masks became an everyday part of our reality for a while. How challenging was it to connect with your guests and to sell home furnishings, which is a high-touch sale, right, while wearing a face mask?
Yeah, I mean, it was challenging. Mostly it was just challenging because it was uncomfortable. I think for me, it's tough to connect when you can't smile at somebody and really, read those facial expressions, but having the eye contact and having to go a little bit deeper with that connection, just to kind of get in with someone, especially when they didn't want to come within 6 feet of you, it taught us a deeper way to connect with people, I think. It also, I call it like kind of a superhero effect, again, because my personality is one to be a little bit more shy and reserved. Having a mask on emboldened me a little bit, I think, to ask questions and maybe ask questions that wouldn't have been comfortable asking,
Really?
Like, why don't you want to buy this? Or, it just made me a little bit bolder. And I think I've taken that from the time of face masks to get a little bit more comfortable with that.
That's interesting. We never talk about that. Like, did it actually improve your skills being forced to wear a face mask that are serving you better today when you don't have to wear a face mask?
I think just like, what I was saying, I think it did kind of pull out some lasting skill sets for me to take from a time that was really difficult. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So how did the pandemic impact your performance last year?
It didn't slow me down. Yeah.
Why is that?
I think I just had to learn how to sell differently. Like, as we have to evolve as our external factors affect things in our business. So, with supply chain strains and difficulties, we had a lot of people coming in just kind of being unaware of that, which is crazy to think of, that people didn't realize how much of an impact, and a strain globally that the supply chain was undergoing. But with the transparency of you and our company leadership, I was able to be really confident in explaining that story to our guests and being able to say, this is the story of why furniture is taking a long time. And, I think if you set the right expectations with people, and, I really just had to play that story over and over for people. Yes, over and over and over. And the communication was vital too, and just getting through that year.
It was tough. Well, I know the last 6 months of 2020 were probably the worst. And then it was just a constant struggle throughout 2021. Our supply chain was surprisingly resilient. I wanted to ask you about that and go a little bit deeper. So it's been a major obstacle, as you talked about, and as we've shared, obviously for you and working with your guests. How have you dealt with supply chain challenges? Like, have you personally seen cancellations spike up, delays? Are you very hyper aware of your open book of business right now? Like, and is that shrinking now that the supply chain is like healing? So obviously it's been a major obstacle that you talked about that you have to explain with your guests, but how have you dealt with it in some of those little areas? Maybe?
Yeah, for sure. At one point, I think my open book of business before the pandemic, you felt good. I think as salespeople, you kind of have I want to be at 100,000 open. It was over 300,000 at one point. And I think right now I'm hovering around 2,000, and it's funny how those 200,000. Yeah. It's funny how those benchmarks have kind of changed. But it's shrinking. I think my biggest delivered sales ever was, 115,000 a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So it's definitely shrinking. We're
Is that
moving
in a 2-week period?
Yeah, that's in a 2-week period.
Imagine that.
So moving in the right direction. But yeah, just in terms of how to deal with it with guests, obviously there were cancellations. That's just unavoidable. But trying to oversell, the cancellations. But again, just going back to setting the right expectation with the guest was very important to really get through it, and still, maintaining that communication, because even though we're improving, there are still things that are taking some time to come in. So I think as long as you're, communicating with that guest, making sure that they know that you're there and that you're still checking in on them and checking in on their product, and, that just having that touch point, that's for me been the best way to navigate it, with a lot of unknowns and a lot of things shifting and changing in terms of lead times.
It's a little bit extra effort to make sure you hold on to that sale.
Yeah, 100%.
And which will be good disciplines when we go back to the normal times,
Totally.
which I think we're starting to kind of get back to.
Yeah.
At our $1 Million Memory Maker RX events, we had 3 of them recently. We heard something that was really interesting I want to ask you about as it pertains to an open order book.
Yeah.
And this is an unintended benefit, I guess you could say. Many of our $1 Million writers have said, as I've seen my open order book shrink, it's really motivated me to prop it back up, because I don't want it to go that low.
Yeah.
Even though it's not even getting yet to where it used to be pre-pandemic, people just got used to that comfort of, I know I got this amount of business. Have you felt that same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. My goal has been to not let it slip under 200,000, even though I know that's crazy, because the goal is to get it delivered. The goal is not to have it sit there and wait to be delivered.
What's so funny about that is I want it to be zero for everyone, right? I want it to go be as small, because I want it, but not because I don't want you to sell anything, because I want us to deliver it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you guys said, no, well, I'm going to keep selling more because I want it to grow.
We want to have a cushion,
I get it. It's I had not expected that when we heard it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go a little bit further into self-discovery. Take a quick pivot on this one. So since you've been a memory maker here at the River, what is something that you've learned about yourself or about what you've been able to accomplish that has surprised even you?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I just really doubted that I didn't doubt that I had the work ethic for this job because I've always been a very hardworking person. But just the personality and the skill set in my mind, a salesperson was just kind of an over the top, like really like outgoing and loud. And I was like, that's just not me. You know, am I going to be able to thrive and to be successful in a role that requires a lot of face-to-face conversation with people. So I've been really surprised just at the success that I've had, you know, with myself and being able to just go and chase down all these big goals to achieve expert so quickly. And also the fact that my income is pretty much quadrupled from what I was making at my previous job.
So you said you were surprised. So you didn't expect to achieve this level of success in the or maybe at all, or just this quickly?
I really didn't expect. I mean, I don't think I knew like even the potential that I had here. So, you know, I don't want to say I didn't expect it necessarily, but I just don't think I realized the potential that I had here.
So, Lindsey, one of the beliefs I have is that humans are amazing creatures and people are just amazing and are blessed with unlimited potential and amazing potential. And I just take such great joy in seeing people unlock their potential. And I love that you're tapping into this potential that you just said you didn't even realize you had. Because I think there's probably more there, and you're probably just scratching the surface. So I think that's really, really cool. And I'm sure this episode now is going to help others realize the potential they have and what they can do. So because we're testimony for others. So I think we talked about goal setting and how important that is. How important is goal setting for you?
Yeah, goal setting is crucial. I set goals in every aspect of my life.
Every aspect.
Yes, I think you need a direction and you need something that you're moving towards to really find fulfillment in life. I
like what Michael Hyatt says about this, which is nobody ever drifts to a destination they would have chosen. So let's pick a destination and plug in the GPS coordinates that we want to go and not just be a drifter. Let's decide where we want to go. So what are your goals for 2022 again?
2022, when I began the year for 2022, I wanted 1.75. I'm on track for that. But if I can have some big September, October, November, December, 2 million isn't out of the question.
Oh, wow. So, okay. Love it. So you're increasing your goals. Well, we are in what we call a Q3, the climb for this year. Okay, let's do a quick icebreaker. Lindsey, I'll pick this question up along the way. It helps us get to know folks. You probably, since you've listened to and watched the podcast, you know what I'm about to ask you here. When you think about your legacy and how you'd like others to think of you or how you'd like to be remembered, what 3 words come to mind that you'd like to describe you?
I think authentic is a really important one for me. I try to be, the same person with my team, my guests, inside and outside of the store. That's very important. Kind, and then hardworking.
Love it. Yeah. Authentic, kind, and hardworking. I got it. Now I think I know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
I know that it always takes a village to achieve the type of success that you've obviously achieved. Who are some of the unsung heroes of your world? And tell us what they do that help you.
Yeah, there's a lot. I could take a whole podcast talking about the unsung heroes, but our GMs, so for me, that's been Rick Rush and then now Sam Van Giesen. They do so much just in terms of mentorship and, development and, even stepping in to close a sale or, just anything I ask of them, they're always there. And then REM's, Missy has been keeping me operationally sound for a long time. And now it's Andrew. Mercedes was there for a little while for us. And they do so much that, even I don't even realize a lot of times. So, they've been amazing support, to have, for myself. And then, our senior agent team. So the number that I can call and solve any issue that I have with, a guest, if they call me and we need something done right away, they are the most delightful people to talk to. They make me look like the hero for my guest. So they are just a great team, that I couldn't do what I do without.
Well, You mentioned some folks. The GMs have that servant leader mindset. REMs are like the backbone. Will Luke has, I'm sure, many other guardians at the gate and some other nicknames, but they do a lot behind the scenes. But that's the first person I've heard say the senior agent team,
Yes.
and they're amazing memory makers as well. So thanks for calling them out.
Yeah.
We like a good word of the year. In 2022, it's all about thrive for us. And you certainly thrived in 2021 in spite of a global pandemic. What does it mean for you to thrive?
Yeah, just going back to the setting the goals, I think that to thrive, you need to be growing and you need to be flourishing and moving forward. You know, if you look at a plant that's thriving, it's beautiful, but it's also still growing and getting bigger, and the roots are growing deeper. So for me, that's what thrive is. It's, you know, growth personally and professionally with accomplishing my goals inside and outside of work.
Life is evident in a person who's thriving. Yeah. So what advice would you offer up to a fellow memory maker to help him or her thrive this year?
Yeah, I mean, I would say figure out what it is that's going to make you, you know, go get the goal that you want to accomplish. So set a direction and then go do the work to do it.
Okay, take those first steps forward.
Yeah.
But know which direction those steps are going.
Yeah.
So what's the best advice you've ever received?
I've heard this in a lot of different ways, but Rick Rush says it really well. Get uncomfortable. You can't grow if you're not something like that.
Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone.
Yeah, something like that, something along those lines. But get uncomfortable. You're not going to grow, you know, if you're comfortable. So that's just been kind of my mindset that I've had for a long time, personally and professionally in jobs. I don't think I could be sitting here on a podcast, honestly, 10 years ago without kind of the growth that I've had with getting outside my comfort zone, just in terms of my shyness.
Do you try to do that every day? Do you try to get a little bit uncomfortable doing something every day?
Yeah, I think it's really important to put yourself outside of your comfort zone every day in any way that you can.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you give a new hire starting? So, I mean, because you're the person who won the new hire sales contest and had the fastest path to HFC and then HFE, you skipped a level. So someone's going to start today and they want quick success. They want to microwave their success.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a new hire starting on the sales floor today?
Yeah, I mean, just be a student of the process, you know, really. And it doesn't have to be, you know, it's not going to work 100% of the time. So if you learn your process and do it, you're going to be successful more times than not. Also hunt down those people that are having big success and see what they're doing. You know, be a thief.
I was going to say be a thief.
Yeah, be a thief. So figure out who's the best in sleep, you know, who's the best at, you know, growing their tickets or drawing the room or, you know, doing these things that we do as a part of our process and take from them and make it your own.
We can call it something softer. We can say be a sponge.
Yeah.
But I agree. Learning from the best of the best is a great way to go about it. What do you believe? I mean, what do you see or believe are the critical qualities or characteristics that most contribute to success on the sales floor?
I think, like we talked about earlier, there's a lot that we can't control, but control your controllables. Okay. You know, you can show up with a positive attitude. You can be on time. You can, you know, have a
follow up.
Yeah, follow up. You can have a mindset of discipline and choose to do the things that are going to make you successful every day with every guest.
We talk about the thoughts and the soundtracks playing in our mind. You can control your thoughts. You know, are you going to have negative thoughts or positive thoughts?
Yeah.
This person won't buy, or I'm going to give this person my best effort. And then we'll just let them determine if they're going to buy or not, you know, regardless of removing those biases. Those are great. Okay, so you've been with us a little bit over 4 years now, right? And if you could go back to your first day, what would you tell your younger self about what life is going to be like at the river?
Yeah, I think I would be so excited to talk to my younger self
really?
And just because that girl 4 years ago was really nervous and she was in a place where just living paycheck to paycheck and just not really getting, you know, having a lot of thrive and getting a lot out of life. And so, you know, Broad River has really transformed my life professionally, but also personally. I'm in the middle of buying a house or
awesome.
building a house, and it's just been really exciting to be a part of the culture here, and just how excited I am to go to work every day.
It's really a great perspective. I mean, it sounds like if I teach it back, what I heard is you'd be excited to talk to her because you'd say, hey, the sun is rising and the future's incredibly bright, and you're about to make you're about to triple your income. Or, I'm sorry, you said quadruple. I don't want to cut you short there.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool. Okay. You mentioned the Raleigh Rain. So I just want to touch on that for a second. I like to say that purpose begins with identity. And so for several years, your store was known as Raleighwood, which it simply rhymed with Hollywood and had a nice ring to it. But now the store identity has just undergone a refresh to Raleigh Rain, not like water from the sky, but REIGN. Why did you guys decide it was time for a refresh and a new identity?
So Rick Rush recently was promoted to lead the coastal region. So him leaving, and then we had some new leadership with Sam coming over. And then John Hedges, who was a sales manager, was promoted to an RPM role. So some new leadership. We thought it was time for a new identity. So the Raleigh Rain was born. It was kind of John's leading the charge there with that new identity. But it's a new leadership and new team brought in a new identity.
What's the story behind it, or what's the meaning? Like, what is it? What does Raleigh Rain mean?
Yeah. So, obviously thinking about rain, it's a long-term, kind of successful leadership. So to Rain, we want to be the best. We want to be premier and lead in a way that's premier. And then our logo is chess pieces. So when you think about chess, it's, it's a mental game, a game of skill, and takes practice and discipline. And so that's the connection with the chess and the rain.
I like that a lot, actually, because it makes you think, like, why are there chess pieces in this logo? I love chess growing up. I love the strategy, but I used to play with my dad. It took me years before I could beat him in chess, but that's great. And I love the whole idea about like reigning for a long period of time. So like not being an overnight, like a one-hit wonder, but being having that consistency of success. And we had Kevin Kinman on the podcast, as I mentioned, and we talked about when he took over Raleigh. I mean, I don't know if you know this, the heritage of the Raleigh Glenwood store is that it at one time was the flagship of our company. It was
really
number one in sales for the whole company.
I didn't know that.
What happened was we started cannibalizing it, I guess, by opening up other stores, but it certainly had Rain for a period of time. So it's almost be a nod to the heritage.
Yeah,
too.
I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and let's talk about just culture. This is a popular topic, and it can be a generic word for some. It's not for us, but everyone thinks their kid looks great. I know we're biased, but we believe our culture at the River is unique and really special. What is your favorite thing? And I do believe every store has their unique subculture too, but then there's the company culture. What is your favorite thing about our culture here at the River? And in your opinion, what is it that makes our culture special?
Yeah, I love this question. One of the things I love most about Broad River is the culture. And I think our culture is special because we view our people as our greatest asset. And so that is really meaningful to me as a part of this culture, to feel really taken care of and valued. And every voice is heard. Even through the pandemic, kind of going back to that, you mentioned the Memory Maker Assistance Fund. You guys did loans for HFCs who weren't making the commission because of the delay in the supply chain. So just, people are an asset to be invested in, to grow, not a resource to be used up. And I love that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I love the whole thought that holds us accountable is your success is our scorecard. And then I also love the idea, hey, we love growth, and we've talked about growth here today, but we will only grow as far as our people will take us. So take us far, and we'll continue growing. But having that growth mindset and if people are our greatest asset, we got to grow our people. And that's the whole human capital lens. It's just, it's all it is a mindset approach to growing our people. Okay. So you've worked with a lot of great people, a lot of great other coworkers, fellow memory makers. Who have been some of the memorable rock stars that you've worked with during your time at the River?
Yeah. I mean, for just the past 4 years until he left, Rick Rush, he's a big part of, this company's success. He's grown a lot of people. And so I was privileged to be able to be led under him. And then Sam, like I said, she was on the sales floor when I joined, so it's really cool to be able to work alongside with her and have that knowledge and expertise that I can soak up from her now. Autumn, she was on the floor when I started, so I took a lot from her. Leah worked in Raleigh for a little while in 2020, so pretty cool to get to work alongside her for a little while. Ben Gamble, Patrick now, I've been on top in Raleigh for a long time, but he's right on my tail. So we got some good competition going.
It's good to have some good competition,
yeah.
Right? Rising tide raises all ships.
Absolutely.
Okay, what is one thing about Broad River that you think would surprise others from the outside looking in? Maybe a misperception or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people have said, that we just sell furniture, and I think that is that's true. I also think they would be really surprised by the commission and the bonus structure of what our people can earn. I know I was, from the outside looking in.
Okay, that's a good one. What is something about you, Lindsey, that would surprise your fellow memory makers?
I think something that a lot of people don't know about me is I lived overseas for a year after I graduated from college in Slovakia. So, that was a big step outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So.
In Bratislava or what?
Košice, it was the city on the other side of the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. There's so many questions I could go into there.
I know.
Was that for school or just for work or a program?
It was kind of a program, like a campus ministry program for after graduation, and worked in some universities and taught like English, culture, and I was an education major, so kind of taught English and American culture in university there for a year.
Did that experience give you a self-confidence or something that's translated into sales, you think, today?
Very much so. When you're, when I talked about like walking into the stores, like kind of walking into a new country, it definitely helped me acclimate. When you're outside of your comfort zone in every single way, you're going to acclimate to any new situations a lot easier.
Well, that's an unexpected answer.
Yeah.
Mentorship is so important. Where or from whom do you get your mentorship?
I've mentioned Rick Rush a lot. He's mentored a lot of people, but he's been a great, I think, key to my success, and just even teaching me the sales process and how to sell, and what to do, and how to handle this. Anything I don't know, I go to him for an answer. So he's been a great mentor for me.
Awesome. So you seem to be a very driven young woman. Where do you get your inspiration and motivation?
I think my parents and my grandparents were the great model for me of hard work and integrity, just wanting to make them proud and be successful in what I'm doing. I also think, just like I said, competing with myself, I find a lot of satisfaction just in setting a goal and then going to accomplish it.
How proud of you is your family right now and the success you've had?
Yeah, they're really proud. I mean, kind of going back to like how, being really shy, they when I told my parents I was working in commission sales, they were like, wow, like, are you going to be able to do this? And so I think I think it surprised even them, the amount of success that I've had and the growth that I've had and been able to accomplish here.
Like, what's been the favorite thing you've been able to go share with them about what you've achieved? Like, hey, look at this, or did you know this, or watch this video, or like what?
Yeah, just, being like at the top, like just being one of the top performers in our company. Like they always ask, like, where are you at? Like, what number are you?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Are we all competitive family games or something, board games, I can imagine?
Not super competitive, but just really driven and hardworking.
It's great that you've got that support structure.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think are or have been the secrets to your success? Even maybe they haven't even been secrets.
Yeah. I don't think there's a secret to success. I think you got to work hard to go where you want to go. You have to set a goal, and then you have to be disciplined to do the work to execute it.
Well, how much has luck or good fortune played a role in your success versus hard work and skill?
I mean, I think maybe a little bit of luck with just coming to Broad River. You know, I'm very thankful. I don't think that was even luck. I think that was providence, but I think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
But just, again, I think setting a goal and executing it, being disciplined, being mentally tough to execute, that's what has made me successful.
That's great, Lindsey. If you could change one thing about the company today with the wave of a magic wand, if it was only that easy,
Yeah.
what would it be?
This is a tough one because there's not really a whole lot I would even want to change. You know, I think that.
Well, you'd be one of the only ones who wouldn't want to change something.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something.
Yeah. I mean, with as hard as we work, you know, I've thought about, you know, the maybe flexibility with scheduling or PTO, just kind of expanding on that a bit because, you know, we put in so much work, you know, with holidays, you know, working extra, being away from our family and friends. So, you know, kind of figuring out a balance of not on a holiday, but just after a holiday.
Well, I'd like to figure out what that is. Take that a little bit further. Like, what would be an idea for because I think flexibility and is huge for the future of work, and not just for people who get to work from anywhere, work from home. Because at retail, you know, what a lot of people they get so. You think it's such a glorious topic. Let's talk about work from home, work from anywhere. But hey, there's huge populations in our workforce that drive the American economy that just don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
We have major pockets in our distribution centers, warehouses, and our retail stores.
Yeah.
But how could we extend flexibility at retail? Take that a little bit further.
I mean, for me, thinking about it, like where I'm building a house, it's a 30-minute, 45-minute drive with traffic. So I've thought about, like, what if I work 4 days and make my 4 days longer, but have 3 days off where I'm not driving, you know, I'm maximizing the time that I'm at work versus, you know, the time at home. So that's giving me back a little bit more time that I don't have to have an extra day that I'm driving. Or with PTO, it's maybe, you know, if you're working 6 days in a holiday week, maybe have an extra day that you take in combination with your 3 days off in June when it's not as a crucial time to have that time to spend with your family then.
Well, we're going to work on those. I'm working with human capital and Stacy and the retail leadership to try to figure out what we can do. So these are great nuggets.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's movement to go towards a 4-day work week. There's a lot of debate. People are studying the data behind it. But you know what's interesting? We used to offer a 4-day work week for retail when I first started.
Really?
Yeah. The thing about it is a lot of folks didn't take it. They wanted to. Now, some people worked. I think Frank, when he first started, you know, he's a $2 million writer for us. When he first started, he only worked 4 days a week and still wrote $1 million.
Yeah.
We'd rather avoid burnout and have you for a long period of time and have a balance and then burn out and have one great year and then kind of not want to do it anymore. So we do have to figure out how to apply that balance and what the right mixture is there. So we'll keep tinkering with that one. Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Let's say that my time was up. I decided to retire and you've got big potential. And so I gave you the keys to the company and it's time for you to be the new president and CEO and take your promotion of Broad River Retail. And today's your first day in this new role. What would be your first order of business?
Yeah, I told you, you know, I've kind of had an answer to this question from listening to the podcast.
Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah. So Charlie, what I really have appreciated about you from the very beginning is how visible you are. That from day one in Retail 101, you knew my name. So the first thing I would want to do is get out and meet every single person in my company to hear what's important to them and to be visible. Because I think to be an effective leader, you have to have that relationship with people. And that's something that you do really well. So I would want to model myself after that.
Well, I think you could probably do a lot better. I have a lot of guilt by how much I'm not doing it now because our company has grown exponentially. We have close to 1,000 memory makers. And if you count some of the contracted service folks, it's much more than that. And to manage the schedule and that's why you have to have great leaders. Because I think about how do we scale impact? How do we see and get out? And it's so important to have like our great retail leaders, like a Kevin Kidman or a Rick Rush or Stacy, who I know is going to, or Belinda, who's going to extend that because
You can't be everywhere at once.
31 stores. It's tough, but
Yeah.
but it is so important, and I think it's a balance to how That's why I love coming to these events like retail excellence meetings. So, hey, senior retail leadership's getting together, $1 Million Memory Maker RX, or like the expert soiree.
Yes.
Which by the time this thing airs, we will have all celebrated probably the biggest and wildest and best event we will have ever had. So
I can't wait.
yeah, it's
I'm
going
so
to be
excited.
really exciting. We'll all be very visible at that night, that evening. We'll be talking about that on future podcasts to future experts.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you for what you said there. All right, so learning, how do you sharpen your saw? What do you do to improve your skill set?
I think we do a great job at the River just investing in that learning zone through our daily connections, through the $1 Million Memory Maker RX. We do a great job with building that time to learn and develop our craft within our workday, which I love. Outside of that, we have resources like the Knowledge Base. We have the Snooze. And so if there's time, I love going on there and just, watching some videos or just figuring out, how to do something that I might not be the best at. Also reading. I do a lot of reading and listening to podcasts as well that just about, sales and leadership and that kind of thing. So.
Love it. I've often wondered if anyone spends time just perfecting their greet and how they can do some A/B testing and like, okay, this didn't work. Let me try this one. I'm sure someone's doing that in databasing it. But you talked about reading and podcasts. Let me ask you, what are you currently reading?
Right now, I'm reading Warren Buffett's biography, The Snowball.
I think I've read that. It's a big book, right?
It's like 700 pages. So
it was a good read. It's a long read. It's fascinating. He's got a
Yes.
great story. What led you to pick that one up?
I just think he's a really interesting person. One of my goals this year is like investing and really figuring out how to manage my money effectively, the personal goals.
Yeah.
So I was like, who better than Warren Buffett? Just want to see where he came from in that. So
That's a great one. So other than this one that you said you listen to, do you regularly listen to other podcasts?
yes, I have probably 100 podcasts on my feed.
Really? So what are some of your favorite ones?
Yeah, well, true crime is like my guilty pleasure.
Okay.
So there's a lot of those. I also listen to the Bobby Bones Show. He's a country radio host. So that's just great for news and entertainment. The Jordan Harbinger Show,
Yeah.
he has some great interviews with some really interesting people. I mean, I could go on
Is
and on.
Bobby Bones the guy who was on American Idol? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
he helped
that's him.
it? Okay. Seems like he's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Okay. What show are you currently binge watching?
I've got two that I just started. One is, what's it called? Only Murders in the Building. I think that's with Steve Martin and Martin Short. So I love that combination of the two of them. And then it's For All Mankind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's on Apple?
That's on Apple TV.
Yeah. You like it?
Yeah, I'm only like 3 episodes in, but it's interesting. It's like a flip on if the space race. So if Russia had beat us to the moon.
I've not watched that. I've heard good things about it. I need to watch that one. So when you stop working for the day, I'm sure you've got some things you do for your fun. And you have some time for yourself or your family. What do you like to do for fun or just to relax?
I have a dog and love to take her on walks or in the summer, beach trips. She loves to go to the beach, so it's a fun thing to do for the day or for a couple days on my days off. Reading, podcasting, watching TV. Big Clemson football fan, so I'm excited that football season is almost here.
How are you guys going to do this year?
I think we're ranked number 4, so hopefully we recover from the I don't want to say train wreck, but it was not the season we had hoped for. And then I love playing golf. Golf was my pandemic sport that I picked up.
That's cool.
So just recently started playing that.
Do you go to like Top Golf or Drive Shack or some of these places? Is it Drive Shack? Drive Shaft? I'm not.
Yeah, Drive Shack. They're building a Top Golf in Raleigh now, but Drive Shack has been the only one in the Raleigh area. So I've been there a couple times. Okay. I don't do very well there. Okay. I like being on the golf course.
Okay, got it. To someone who is not a memory maker and is thinking of coming to the river, what advice would you offer to that person?
Yeah, I would say, what are you thinking about? Just do it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a place where you're going to be loved and celebrated and cared for, and you can't go wrong.
Awesome. Any final words, Lindsey?
just thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Before I let you off the hot seat,
Yeah.
I did ask a couple folks if they want to share some words. I'm going to surprise you with a couple
Okay.
things. From Stacy McCormick,
Oh, wow.
this is what he said. Lindsey Walton is positive and consistent. She has high standards for herself and gives our guests premier experiences consistently, always smiling and kind, but driven to be the best she can be at all times. She's a Broad River retail legend, and she makes us better every day.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah, I got a couple more.
Oh, okay.
From Manny.
Mm-hmm.
Lindsey is a pro. She has diligently and tirelessly worked on her craft, and today inspires so many memory makers, current and future, about the art of the actual, not the art of the possible.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful for her grit and positivity. That positivity comes through
I
again.
know.
Okay, and then I got my last one here. So you
Okay.
mentioned Rick Rush and his mentorship and leadership and impact.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Rick has to say. If you were to look up HFE in the Broad River Dictionary, there would be a picture of Lindsey Walton. She is amazing, in all caps, at what she does, and has worked tirelessly, there's that word tirelessly again, at being the best version of herself. Her superpower is the ability to connect with her guest. Lindsey is a very hard worker, dependable, authentic, and an amazing teammate. After Lindsey's interview, I was so sure she would be a great fit for Raleighwood and Broad River that I extended an offer on site and was taken back when she told me she would need the weekend to think about it.
Yeah.
I think I speak for everyone at Broad River that we are sure glad that she decided to step outside her comfort zone and trust this was the place for her to furnish life's best memories.
That's amazing. That's so nice.
Yeah.
I will treasure those words for forever.
Well, and we've got them documented here.
Yeah.
So, Lindsey, thanks for getting out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
stepping onto the podcast with us and sharing your knowledge and your thoughts and your stories. So that is Lindsey Walton, Stories from the River. Hey, we try to bring you fresh new content every Wednesday from the best of the best at Broad River Retail, and who've been through the fight and who've had success, so that you can learn, so that we can share their insights and their stories. And these are truly life's best. And Lindsey is one of life's best, and she is premier at what she does. She is a rising star home furnishings expert. Hey, is leadership or management in your future, Lindsey?
We'll see. The verdict's still out. Maybe not closing the door, but I still got a lot to accomplish on the sales floor.
Got it. She's got a lot to accomplish. Leave that door open.
Yeah.
All right, Lindsey, thank you so much. Hey, wherever you're watching, if you're watching this on YouTube, mash that subscribe button so you can make sure you get the feed every week. Or, hey, help us out and like these, or tell us how we can get better, or wherever you're listening, subscribe, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your fresh content. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Thanks so much, Lindsey.
Thanks.